Sea breezes moistened by the breast of the Pacific Ocean. Sunshine at 37 degrees north latitude glitters, a gift from God. Sea sand that covers 1,000 years of legend and shapes a magical shore for grapes. This is Penlai, China. A gift from God, perhaps. That, at 37 degrees north latitude, where grapevines entwine the world, moist sea breezes, rich sandy soil, and warm sunshine, all combine to endow the grapes with an exceptional quality. Yet, when God made wine popular in Europe, he did not fail to forget Asia. He arranged for the union of grape and sea to take place in an ancient and magical land in the east. And from that union came a seashore that meets the three grape-growing principles: sun, sand, and sea, and that place became Penlai, China. Penlai, together with the Bordeaux, Médoc region of France and the Napa Valley of California, stands among the 7 most famous grape-growing seashore regions in the world. This rich Asian fairyland endows the wine with a special soul, for Penlai, a famous historic and cultural Chinese coastal city, claims a history of more than 2,100 years. As early as the period of Warring States, 3 fantasy fairy mountains appeared upon the calm sea at Penlai. This marks the earliest known record of mirages in the world. From that time on, this mysterious and natural phenomenon has made Penlai the reputation of a fairyland. The crystalline clusters of grapes appear to feel the breath of God. The origin of their lives appears as ancient and mysterious as the city of Penlai itself. Let us go back into history for a moment. 2,100 years ago, Lu Che, a Chinese Han emperor, built Penlai city in eastern China. At the same time, he introduced grapes and the techniques of grape growing from faraway Shiyu via the Silk Road that he had opened. Soon after, people working in traditional Chinese winemaking factories began to recite the poem, Grape Moonlight, Wine Cup. 100 years ago, Zhang Bi-shi, the father of Chinese national industry, introduced winemaking techniques from Bordeaux, France into China. The Chinese winemaking industry had come into being on this magical land. The wonders of grape growing and winemaking are not coincidences. They are the gifts of God. The ancient and azure seashore had brought new life into the world's wine community, one that shared sun, sand, and sea with its wine brothers. 2,800 hours of clear sunshine, 600 centimeters of rain per year, and a rich historic culture allow the winemaking industry to pamper Penlai's grape-growing seashore. When the sound of the sea can be heard everywhere in conch shells along the seashore, one also hears the happiness of the grape harvest everywhere in the winery. The silver laughter of the grape princess sounds like music from heaven as she shows her appreciation to the skies that give her rain, and to the earth that gives her nourishment, and to the sea that gives her soul. Every year, when the harvest season comes, the winery becomes a paradise. Penlai possesses a mythical seashore. 600 years ago, legend says 8 gods that came from different periods in Chinese history and stood for different social classes came across the sea with the help of their own treasure to look for equality, freedom, happiness, and comfort. To our surprise, one of the gods' treasure included a wine gourd. One part of the Mazu culture centers on the seashore, and even today spreads to the north of China, to countries northeast of China, and also to North America. The Chinese Lady Peace of the Sea has now become the symbol of safety and auspiciousness for overseas Chinese. Penlai possesses an open seashore. It became one of the sources for the ancient Chinese navigation industry. The earliest Chinese Silk Road of the Sea began on this seashore. It is also from this seashore that the ancient Asian culture spread to the Korean Peninsula and to Japan. Since then, the biggest harbor city in the north of ancient China has stood firmly on the western shore of the Pacific Ocean. In 608 AD, the first group to visit Japan in Chinese history came across the Pacific Ocean from this seashore. This drew up the curtain of economic and cultural communication between China and other foreign countries. Now, on this miraculous and open shore lies a vintage corridor 18 kilometers long and full of life. Openness has made this the 7th biggest vintage area in the world. Many well-known wine enterprises in China, France, Italy, Germany, America, and Australia have built their standard vintage plantation and production bases here. This congregation of elements makes the earth here more valuable. It makes the peasants richer. It enhances the standard of agricultural industrialization, and it turned an ancient city into a city famous for vintage wine. Thus, congregation also helps to form an industrial district combining plantation, processing, sightseeing, and wine tasting. The dream of 100 years of mainstream industry will finally come true on this magic wine-growing shore. From ancient times, the people of Penlai City have dreamed for peace and hoped for happiness. An American writer translated the word Penlai as the Temple of the Blessed Isles in the book called The Daughter of the Han. In the eyes of the world, Penlai symbolizes happiness. Ji Guang, the great hero that defended our nation against the Japanese, trained his naval troops and won a victory over the Japanese at Penlai. Because of this, he became known as a peacekeeper. The first American woman missionary to make the long journey from America to China arrived in Penlai in 1873. She worked for 40 years to spread the Word of God and the message of the Bible. Here we have the earliest Chinese church, the first Christian university, the first school for the deaf and dumb, and the first university for women in China. Love, equality, friendship, and charity have been the creed of Penlai people for thousands of years. The wish for peace, accompanied by the street, lingered in Penlai through the 20th century. Penlai, the fairyland, knocked at the door of the 21st century, longing for a peaceful world in her breast. And now the peace hymn, which has been sung continuously for 6 years, proves the people of Penlai hope for peace and development in the world. Divine the grape, sweet the wine. Isn't this the symbol of people's happiness and harmony? Enjoying good wine together with friends makes everyone in the world brothers. With the same wish, people from the 7 biggest vintage shores in the world gathered in Penlai for the first time. Thus the Penlai Declaration was born in peace and friendship. Good wine connects human hearts and spreads the hope of peace. Today, in the name of peace, when we gather, let us lift our glasses and toast to world peace. Only grape wine with soul tastes most wonderful. The ancient Asian fairy culture bestowed soul upon this expanded wine-growing shore, a favor from God and the endowment of history. From now on, the wine produced here will be more tasteful and more aromatic. Penlai, China, a treasured place, a fairyland in a human world, a divine city of peace with charming landscape, fragrant air, and with top-level world wine.